Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Game week 1 was kind of a mixed bag, but hopefully we've picked up on some patterns and stuff that we can look forward to in game week 2. As always, if you enjoy the video, hit the like button. If you want more information on my waiver picks, fixtures, game week odds, anything like that, check out the Patreon link down below because there's much more that I do than just the YouTube. So without any further ado, let's get stuck into the picks. First up, we've got Luca Dean. Now Villa obviously defensively did not look that good against Newcastle. The high line was repeatedly broken by Newcastle's press, but I don't think you can read too much into it. Newcastle are one of the best teams in the league, especially when they're ahead, because they can set traps, play that high press, nick the ball, and then get straight in behind on the counter-attack. So, as I said, I don't think there's too much to read into it, and it will be a very different game for Villa this week. Everton at home. Everton could not get the ball in the back of the net against Fulham. They didn't actually play that badly, but I do think that a Villa clean sheet is one that we should be looking at this week. Bad injury to Tyrone Mings means that Luca Dean's place in the team is a little bit more concrete, because it's very unlikely now that Pau Torres would play at left back, as he's now the only left-footed centre back. So I think it's pretty likely that Pau Torres goes in at left centre back and Luca Dean starts at left back. We know how attacking he's been in the past, available in 72% of draft leagues. Thanks again to draftfc.co.uk as always for presenting that data. The fixtures after this week: Burnley away in 3 is pretty good, Liverpool away in 4 is bad obviously, Palace at home in 5 is another good one. So, you know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but definitely you'd happily start your Villa defender in 3 of the next 4. Matty Cash is another one that is a good pick, as is likely Pau Torres and Konsa, although Diego Carlos is also in the mix for that right centre-back role as well, so it's not 100%. I think the fullbacks are the safest bet. Next up, we go on to the other clean sheet banker of the week for, you know, the teams that have likely waiver players available. Serge Aurier for Forest, available in 92% of draft leagues. Forest home defence last year was incredibly good. They kept almost all their clean sheets at home last year, and they did rack up a fair few. Sheffield look like they're going to be the worst attack in the league. We don't know that for sure yet. It's too early to say, but on opening weekend, data and visuals, it looks like Sheffield United are going to be the team to target for clean sheets, especially when they're away from home. So, you know, a good home defence versus a weak away attack leads to clean sheets. Serge Aurier is my favourite because he's the most attacking. He's absolutely nailed on. Available in 92% of leagues. If he's not available, I'd maybe go for Aina, who looks like he's going to be playing left wing back, but he's not quite the same level of pick, I don't think. You definitely want to avoid playing Aurier in game week 3 and 4. United away and Chelsea away, really tough fixtures. Game week 5, Burnley at home, you may well want to line them back up again. Next up, we have Aaron Hickey, available in 91% of draft leagues. The fixture this week, Fulham away, isn't that good from a defensive point of view anyway. I feel like this game is going to be quite open. I feel like there's going to be quite a lot of chances. Brentford are going to go at them a little bit. Fulham at home are likely going to have a lot of the ball, and I would be reasonably surprised if Brentford keep a clean sheet in this game. But Aaron Hickey is very attacking. He's actually more attacking than Rico Henry on the other side, even though, you know, he doesn't really get the same level of credit for his attacking play. But the one good thing about Hickey is that I don't think he's going to be free for that much longer. And when you look at the fixtures coming up, the next 2 are absolute bankers. Palace at home, Bournemouth at home. They're 2 fixtures that you want a Brentford defender for. So I think it's a good idea to pick him up this week. You can bench him if you want, although it's not that bad if he comes off the bench, or you can start him if you have to. But I do think he's a good pickup, mainly to plan ahead for those game week 3 and 4 fixtures. On to midfielders then, and first up, it's one of my favourite picks. I go back in for him every year. Harry Wilson of Fulham, available in 88% of draft leagues. As I just said with reference to that Brentford game, I do think it'll be quite open. So I think a Fulham attacker as the home team does make sense. Harry Wilson is the pick of the bunch in my opinion. He is the one that gets on the ball the most in the final thirds, and he's got a really good eye for goal, very creative player, and I think this season we're going to see him kick on and show himself as the best Fulham asset. The fixtures are a little bit mixed, especially after this game week. You know, you probably want to start in game week 2, bench or drop in 3 and 4, and then bring him back in game week 5 for that Luton at home fixture. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, from game week 5 onwards they have a really good run, so it may be one to look for that run especially, but I definitely like him for the game week 2 fixture, Brentford at home. Next up, we've got John McGinn, available in 90% of draft leagues. The Villa fixtures, as I said, with Luca Dean are pretty good. I think from an attacking point of view, they're even better than defensively. Everton at home, Burnley away. Liverpool away is not that bad in terms of an attacking fixture, and Palace at home is pretty good as well. John McGinn has been playing this kind of hybrid centre mid, right mid role where he kind of fluctuates between the two. He's pretty good at it, to be honest. Because he is effective at filling in those midfield gaps. He's quite a good presser, which Emery likes, and he does get on the ball quite a lot in the final third, so I do think he's actually a semi-decent pick. I think with Buendia getting injured, it does leave a little bit of a gap creatively for this team, so McGinn is going to be having to do a little bit more work in that final third, which is no bad thing if you own him in Draft FPL. He does come up with a few bangers every year as well, so I definitely think that he's an option as a 5th midfielder for these decent fixtures. Next up, we have Pedro Neto, available in 93% of draft leagues. I actually really enjoyed Wolves' performance against United in game week 1. I thought they were really unlucky to come away with nothing from the game. And I think the signing of Gary O'Neill really underwhelmed me when I saw that he'd taken over at Wolves. And I don't really know how it's going to go, because Bournemouth last season got through on just a little bit of luck and a couple of gutsy performances and a few goals at the right time that went their way, and then all of a sudden they were nowhere near the drop. And I'm not sure how well Gary O'Neill is going to recreate that kind of thing at Wolves, but they do have talented players, and if he can get a tune out of some of them, then they should be fine. I mean, Pedro Neto is a very talented footballer, and the fact that he's playing left wing, available in 93% of leagues, just doesn't really sit right with me. I just think he's technically better than that. The problem with Wolves is that they have no one that can actually put the ball in the back of the net, so no matter how good they look, the points never really flow. But if they can get that click in, I do think there'll be some assets on this team. And these fixtures aren't amazing, but they're not that bad either. Brighton at home, I think, will be an open game with goals at either end. Everton away is not that bad, really. Everton aren't a great side. I could see Wolves getting a goal in that one. And then Palace away, again, not that bad of a fixture. And then Liverpool at home with their defensive issues at the moment. I think Wolves could cut through them in the same way they did at United. So I don't think the fixtures are that bad, and I think Pedro Neto is quite a fun pick and someone that is quite exciting to have him in your lineup when you're watching Wolves play, because he does get on the ball a lot in the final third and make things happen. Final midfielder for me is Danilo of Nottingham Forest. I've gone back in on this Sheffield United at home fixture. I think Forest are going to win this, especially because their fixtures around this game are terrible. United away, Chelsea away in 3 and 4. This is a massive game for them. Obviously, they've already had Arsenal away in game week 1. So this game week 2 fixture is a must win for them to not go into that Burnley game in game week 5 on nil point. So Danilo, I think, is a pretty good pick. It looks to me like it's going to be Awoniyi leading the line this week, with Morgan Gibbs-White and Danilo playing off him, which doesn't leave any room for Brennan Johnson in the lineup. but that's how they played for the majority of the end of last season, and that's what kept them in the Premier League. So it would not surprise me at all. Steve Cooper's a savvy manager if he just goes back to what was working. Obviously, Brennan Johnson started against Arsenal, but that's because Awanai had some fitness issues. And I think in a home game, they want Awanai to start. He's the goal threat. And Danilo plays this role where he supports Awanai in attack, and then in defence he joins the midfield. They may think they don't need that against Sheffield United at home, but to be honest, I don't think they will, because Steve Cooper doesn't take anyone for granted. So I think Danilo's going to start. I think he's going to play an attacking midfield role, and I think he's gone under the radar. He had a really good end to the season. He's a really, really effective player, someone that I'm definitely looking out for. Finally then, the only forward this week is Matheus Cunha, available in 50% of draft leagues. He was reasonably heavily drafted. I've got him in a couple of leagues, but I wasn't excited to own him really. But, you know, after watching that United game, I do think Wolves have something about them, and I think Cunha is their best player. I don't think there's any arguments about that. To be honest, I think he'd be better in a number 10 role with a striker ahead of him, so hopefully we'll see maybe Fabio Silva get a run in the team, because at least then we've got another forward to add to the pool. But I do think Cunha is a good player. He's by far and away the most talented player on that team now. The fixtures, as I said earlier, aren't that bad from an attacking point of view, so I think if you've got Harry Kane in your team or an Ivan Toney and you're desperate to get just any playing forward, this is the one I'd go for. There are some decent, well, I say decent, there are some forwards that are going to play on Burnley and Luton. They both actually have a couple of forwards that I think are going to play a lot of minutes. The problem is they both blank this week, so I can hardly put them in a waiver video where they both have a blank. So there's only one forward recommendation from me this week. As I said, the fixtures are a little bit mixed, but I do think if you need a forward, he's probably the one to go for. And that wraps up my game week 2 waiver picks. As I said at the start, if you enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll try as hard as I can to reply to your waiver queries in the comments. I've had a bit of a hectic week, so I didn't get to many of them last week. I'll try to get a few more done this week. Thank you all for watching. Check out the Patreon if you're interested, and we will see you next time.